Hi YouTube. I'm in the middle of building a dresser for my daughter, and I figured it'd be a good time for me to go ahead and make a video on how to make a raised panel door for a, well, in this case a dresser or a cabinet or whatever. It's a raised panel door. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use my shaper table, and I bought a kit from Yannico. These are router bits. I don't know anything about the company. I don't know where they're made. I don't know their reputation. All I know is that these were $42 on Amazon. And, oh, hi, sweetheart. You going to be in this with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why don't you take a seat? Okay. So I don't know anything about these router bits except that they were very inexpensive on Amazon. And inside the kit you have a stile bit, a rail bit, and you have your raised panel bit. And I'm going to be going through all of these here now. Okay, the first step is you have to lay out your door. So you're going to have, your door is going to consist of stiles, which are going to be the vertical pieces, rails, which are going to be the horizontal pieces, and you're going to have a panel that's going to fit in between the stiles and the rails. Now, you take your measure, or the door rather, it's going to have a 1/2 inch overlap. And so what you do is you measure the opening space, and then you add essentially 1 inch to it. And in my case, it's going to be 18 inches wide. Same thing with the vertical measurement. You're going to have a 1/2 inch on the bottom and a 1/2 inch on top. So you're going to add another inch. And in this case, it's going to be 26 3/8 inch. That's how tall the stiles are going to be. 26 3/8 inch. The rails, what you have to do is, I said it was 18 inches wide, but what you have to do is you have to back out the width of the stiles. And in my case, it's going to be 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4 and 2 1/4 is 4 1/2. So you're going to have 18, and then you subtract the 4 1/2, which is going to give you 13 1/2. But what you have here, here's an example of what we're going to be cutting here. This is the profile of the stile bit, and it is 1/4 inch wide, and it is 3/8 inch deep. Okay, so you have 3/8 inches on either side. You're going to have to actually add that. So 3/8 and 3/8 is 3/4. So the overall length of your rail is going to be 18 minus the 4 1/2, which is 13 1/2, and then you're going to have to add in that 3/4 for the depth of the groove. So 3 1/2 plus 3/4 is 14 1/4. That's going to be the length of your rail. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on, we're going to cut the rails first and then the stile. So we're going to go ahead and get started cutting the rails now. Okay, so I put the rail bit in my shaper table. I have right here, it's a rail template that I saved from a previous project that involved a raised panel. I saved it because it makes adjusting the height of your bit a lot easier. If I didn't have this, this would be an iterative process whereby I judge the height, I make a cut, and then I have to swap bits, and you know, it's a game to match it. So it can take a while. So once you get it right, you want to definitely save a template to make it easier the next time around. So that's what I did. So I adjusted the bit to this template, and now we're going to go ahead and cut the rails. We have 2 rails, 1 on each side, so there's going to be 4 cuts. I'm going to put a piece of scrap wood in the back so that I won't have tear out as I go through the cutter head. Okay, here we go. Okay, made our cuts on our rails. Now it's time for us to cut our stiles into both the two stiles and into these two rails. Okay, now I have the stile bit installed in the my shaver table, and what I do is, again, I take my template and I line this up with the cutter right like this, and I want this piece here to line up with this cutter here, and hopefully it's nice and flush. Hopefully this is all we're going to have to do. So now we're going to go ahead and we'll cut the stiles. Okay, here's my joint. It's nice, it's fairly smooth, and it looks like this is good enough for us to put the panel, start working on the panel. So I think this works nicely. I'm very pleased with it. Okay, I have the panel bit, the raised panel bit, installed in the shaper. The way I do this, you don't want to have all of the bit exposed as you make, you know, a pass. Or at least I don't think you want it. At least I don't want it. If you're not aware, this is probably one of the more dangerous machines in your shop. You essentially have a carbide tip razor blade spinning at 20,000 RPM, and when it goes sideways, it's often very violent. So what I like to do is I want to make my cuts gradual. Okay. Again, this is you know, you can't be timid with this machine. You know, you just can't be timid with it. But also you don't want to be stupid. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 passes, increase the height, make another 4 passes, increase the height until we have 1/4 of an inch going all the way around the panel. All right, let's get started. Okay, now that I'm done with the panel, it's time to put the pieces together, and I'm going to glue these together. I'm going to glue the stiles to the rails, but with the panel I'm not going to glue it to the stiles or the rails. I'm going to leave it floating. The reason for this is when the weather turns cold, wood contracts, you know, just like metal. And conversely, when the weather gets warmer, the wood's going to expand. What could possibly happen if I glued the panel to the stiles and the rails is I could crack them during the changing of the seasons, and we don't want that. So we're going to let the panel float. So we're just going to go ahead and glue the stiles and the rails together. Okay, the only thing left is to wait for this to dry. We have this clamped up. Everything is square. Everything is flat. It looks great. I'm really pleased. And also, I'm really pleased with this Yanico raised panel bit set. it worked great. How's it compared to the bit sets that are well over $200? I don't know. I'm not a cabinet maker. I don't do that for a living. You know, so I suppose if I did, maybe I would invest in a higher quality set of bits. But this worked great for me, and you know, I'm very pleased with it. So I mean, if you're like me and don't do too many of these, you know, don't go out and break the bank on bits. These are just fine. So in any event, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.